Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my Olympia prep series. I am currently 8 weeks out from Olympia, and everything's going really, really well, and super excited about it. Just to keep you all up to date. And currently, I woke up at a new prep low, and so y'all get to see some of my photos and my posing of just being a little bit more pulled down today, which I was 224.6 this morning, which is about almost a 3.5 pound drop over this past week. So been really pushing along and have good lines coming in. Like today, like the waist was really brought in, had better oblique and serratus, and just really, really good waist control. I could vacuum really well. So all really happy with it. And assessing my own prep along the way, it can easily get to where you want to compare back to previous preps and look at where you're at 8 weeks out for other shows. And I always have to keep in mind, like, every prep is different, but there also is similarities too. And so you have to weigh those out, and every condition, because if you look back past prep and you'd be like, oh man, I wasn't as conditioned this far out, or maybe you're like, I'm more conditioned this far out. And for me, it's like I'm not quite as conditioned as what I have been close to the show in the past, but at the same time, I'm moving at a good rate, and I have a lot more food, and I'm managing fatigue so much better. So it truly is a better spot to be at this far in prep, and I think it'll uphold a lot of the improvements that I've made in the off-season just showing stage, and not just driving my weight down and pulling food and increasing cardio. And Andrew he's very, very good at just sitting back and letting the change happen, and just being more reactive to when we actually do need to make a change, but not being too like proactive and trying to change stuff too quick. Like, if, oh man, the scale's not moving, let's just drop food. And it gets really easy to all of a sudden be eating nothing and doing a lot of cardio. So, but anyway, happy with the look where I'm at currently right now. Within cardio, since I brought it up, my step counts come up this week. I'm averaging around 7,800 steps total, which is higher than what it has been. So my cardio is brought up to 45 minutes on the treadmill, and I do that 12% incline, 2.8 miles per hour, which for my body weight and everything, that's about what I would do on the Stairmaster at level 6, but it is by far so much less fatiguing. And that's really like the whole point of what we're trying to do with cardio in a prep, is just energy expenditure with the lowest amount of fatigue cost that we can incur, so it doesn't impede training. So if you're going like, I could do 20 minutes in the Stairmaster level like 12 and burning a bunch of calories, but at the same time I'll be tapping into my recovery stores, and that's going to affect training. And so it's a great way to manage fatigue with picking the right cardio modality. And how you implement that cardio throughout the day, I think, is very important too. So for me, I'll do 25 minutes fast in the morning. And I like doing fasted because I am implementing some fat burners that work really well in the fasted state. Also, it's low intensity. So I'm not worried about being fasted and muscle loss, and also with everything going on with what we implement in bodybuilding, muscle loss is very, very much overrated, I think, on a prep. But anyway, so 25 minutes. On training days, I'll do 5 minutes of cardio treadmill before and after, so an easy 5 minutes to get in place. Then I'll do my other 10 minutes before meal 5. So that's my second to last meal. So it spreads my cardio out. It makes it much more bearable to do, and the fatigue is never generated high, because I could do 45 minutes straight and get off, and my legs would feel swollen and tired. And that might affect my training, because I do train midday. So with implementing cardio like that, keeping energy expenditure up, I've been able to keep food higher. And keeping food higher, for one, has been awesome, because I always run into GI issues and bowel movement issues on prep. That hasn't been the case here. I've been able to have regular digestion, and this is the highest my carbs have been this far out too. So there are 350 grams of carbs, 300 protein, and 30 grams of fat, just 30 grams of added fat. So it's not counting like trace fats in that. Then my off-day diet is 50 grams of carbs, so it gets pretty low. But I sit around all day and work on the computer aside my cardio. And 300 protein and 55 grams of fat. So fats come up on the off days. And I'll do that over 5 meals instead of 6. And I'll have a little bit longer fasting period in the morning. So I'll get up, I'll do a little bit of computer work, I'll do cardio, then I'll wait for just about like 30, 45 minutes. Then I finally will eat meal 1. And so that's usually like 9:30, 10 a.m. by the time I'm eating meal 1. So my meals aren't quite as spread out, but it makes it much more tolerable to do it that way, eating wise, to keep food that low on an off day. But anyway, yeah, so bringing food up has been great for keeping training performance up too. And I think that's a huge thing, to bring about that hard, dense look, and not let muscle fall off on prep. Because I know I did say like muscle loss, it can be overrated on prep, but as long as you can keep up training performance, I think that is your number one driver for keeping muscle and getting a hard look on prep. Because if your training performance is dropping, you could probably keep dropping weight, but you'll have a larger percentage of that weight loss coming from lean tissue and less from fat mass. And same goes with your recovery variables too. So we've seen it with sleep deprivation studies of just even 1 hour less per night of sleep. Groups in a calorie deficit, they lose a greater proportion of muscle mass. So sleep is so essential in managing recovery and keeping up training performance. So these are always things that are on my mind to manage well. And I've had a really good solid week of training too. So that's one thing, is my performance has been coming up in the gym. So now coming into today, I am carrying a little bit more fatigue because we upped the fat burners 2 days ago, and I am cooking all day long. Like I'm really, really warm, and it did affect my sleep a little bit, but I'm also struggling a little bit with my allergies right now too. Of course, moved the Olympia back right when I'm going to be prepping through like my allergy season. So at night I'll have like a little bit of coughing. You could probably tell my throat sounds a little bit scratchy, but so that's been bothersome. Sleeping, and then just allergies in general just kind of make you feel a little bit more lethargic. So like the combo together, today I feel a little bit more fatigued, and with the accumulation of just the solid training days and going to the gym and just smashing it. So today, going into my pull session, I have all that in mind of how I want to be regulating my volume and make sure I go in and get a great stimulus and do what I want to do and hit the numbers I want to hit, but also not dig so much recovery. And all I want to do is always maintain my effort level and adjust my set number off of what I can recover from. So this pull session was just starting out my 5 minutes of treadmill work. Did a little bit of foam rolling on my front delt. It was tight from my push day. Then I did just some band single arm rows, just trying to get the lat short and really activate it well. And my first movement for the day was a hammer strength high row. So I'm starting with the lat focused high pulling movement. And this one, it's pretty challenging to get the muscle short in. So that's why I do like to start with it. And setup on it is just keeping the torso braced down. You don't want to be arching your back too much and chest up. That's usually a cue. Bring your chest up. Actually, that'll bring more upper back in and take some lat out. So it should be contract down on the core. It should be a cue for this one. Neutral spine. But just idea is just driving that elbow down to the hip and just stopping it there. You go farther back than that, you're going to start bringing more trap into it. So it just depends what you're trying to get out of the movement pattern. But anyway, I worked up to a top set. I did 3 plates, 5, and then a 1.25 pound weight. So I got these new cool micro loading plates. They're 1.25 pounds each. So it makes it great for when I'm trying to do micro progressions. You know, you have weeks where you're just stuck at some weight for certain reps, and you put a 5 on and you drop a loser rep, but you know, maybe if you add like a 1.25, it makes it an easy way to just add small weights and keep making progression up. So I use those today, and just got them in. So I was excited to just put them on something and try them out. But anyway, I backed off my weight. I ended up getting an extra rep on my back off set, but I cut off my 3rd set of this movement because it was a lot of effort for me to get those reps in, and I could just feel the fatigue there. So it just makes sense just to do a little bit less sets for the day. Next movement, I go into like a pin delay row, but I do a setup with boxes on the ground and just to set up within the active range that I want to work. So I found like if I pull straight from the floor, I feel a lot more upper back in it, and I usually end up kind of externally rotating my arms at the bottom just to reach down to the ground and move my lats out of it. And so having it a little elevated keeps me right in the right path that I want. I'm just trying to, it's almost an arching movement that I'm trying to emulate here, is pulling that bar back to the belly button, to the hip, and then letting it kind of swing back out for me. And that's how the lat functions. So if you're pulling that bar straight up and down, you're probably going to be using a lot of bicep and a lot more trap in the movement. So these will be a little bit lighter type row variation that you can do, but it is definitely lat focused. And I'm very mindful to try to keep my torso locked in place and not have a lot of like torso uprise when I am rowing. So it does limit my load, but keeps my stimulus really precise. On this one, I worked up, I went up a little bit, like 5 pounds, and I actually matched my reps, so that was a good progression. Then my back off set felt sick, and I got like some extra reps on it, and I still cut it off there just with 2 sets. So that was some of my lat focus movement. I'm going to move now into upper back movement and kind of hit lower mid trap fibers and then move into like some mid upper trap fibers. So for this one, I go to a pull down, and I set up to have a slight lean back in my torso, and I want to be driving my elbows out and back. And so this is going to keep more teres major involved, mid-low trap fibers, and of course rear delts. Elbows are not tucked because I'm trying to hit a lot of lat in this one. Work up to a set of 10 reps. And then what I do at the very, very end is just some scapula retraction and depression. So I'm taking my scapula, squeeze them together, and press them down so I can get some extra lower lat fiber work. And then did a back off set on that one, and that was my 2 sets, and just rounded off the exercise there. Then moving on to my next upper back movement, I did a hammer strength isolateral row. I dropped the seat all the way down. It works. I've seen other people try to do it, and it works out good for my height, and it keeps my arm path really well. So I'm trying to flare the elbows out still, and still just protraction, retraction, get a little bit of thoracic flexion, extension in place too. And on this one, I just worked up to 1 set, and it was just taxing, super taxing. So I just didn't even do a back off set on it, and that's where I called it, at least for my compound movement for the day. And then I rounded out with some isolation work on my rear delts, just do 2 sets of a rear pec deck fly, keeping the reps a little bit higher, 12 to 15, and then go on to a preacher curl, dumbbell preacher curl. I don't like using the actual machine setup because it's kind of an awkward handle. Your wrist is a little uncomfortable, and keeps me in a really good position. And I like preacher curls because you get good loading in the lengthen phase when the muscle's strong, and then the load lets off at the top when the muscle's short and a little bit weaker. So the resistance profile and the strength profile naturally well. So I did 2 sets there. Then my last exercise was a reverse curl with the easy bar, just 1 all out set, trying to hit around 15 reps and cut it off there. So that wraps up my pull day for the week. So just, guys, it's, on prep, you just are trying to manage volume within your recovery capacity and keep performance up as high as you can. So, don't think if your sets are just dropping off as you're training, like do something about it, like start cutting back on your volume and take note of these things. Eventually performance is going to drop, but we want to do everything we can to uphold it. So if I have weeks really good, I usually might come back up to like a good volume level where I know gives a lot of good stimulus, and I can bring it back down to a base level volume too. Current split, it's been still the same. Push, pull, off day, legs, off day. And having those off days around legs is really beneficial because I need it after 2 training days to go into legs, and then legs really drives down, just fatigue is higher the day following. So that's always been a plus of having those days in place. I've considered moving some arm work and calf work to the off day prior to legs, but haven't made that move quite yet. But that kind of wraps up my update for you guys. I mean, everything's going well. Body weight's on track, conditioning's right on track, and I feel great on prep. So look forward to the next update. Should be 4 weeks out, and when I talk back to you guys. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. Leave them down below. I'll do my best to get back to you. And anything you want to see in the next videos, leave it below, and I try to show you guys all the transparency and details within this prep. So, all right, guys. Talk to y'all next time.